Amber Portier Incorporated is a New York company with a strong focus on the composition of lines and shapes through contemporary accessories. The company was established in 2015 in New York. The lead designer is Alicia, and she's a descendant of Jamaica through the paths of New York. Her paternal grandfather was an architect. His wife was a dressmaker with a love for fashion. Her maternal grandfather was a farmer, and her grandmother was in the financial sector. Through her many trips to Jamaica, she grew to love the natural elements on the farm. Most of them became entrepreneurs. Her parents have supported her as a designer through the years to give birth to the first collection of the Amber Portier called Inception. The beautiful mix of nature and business evokes the use of hard and soft through unconventional materials and techniques. Her over 15 years of corporate fashion design has allowed her to have a great design hand and attention to detail. All Amber Portier's products are hand sculpted. Their designs can be found at domestic boutiques soon. Meet Amber Portier, lead designer Alicia Appleton.
Hi, everybody. It's Gigi Sharp from the Plus Size Virtual Summit. Today we have a phenomenal speaker with us, but a phenomenal designer. And as you can see, if you can see what's in the background, that's just a little taste of what she has to offer. Her name is Alicia Appleton, and her company is Amber Portier, as in Sydney, designs. And she designs beautiful jewelry, handmade, leathers, woods, for us fuller figure, voluptuous women. Welcome, Alicia. How are you doing today?
I'm well. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, thank you for joining us. So for those that don't know, can you tell them a little bit about yourself?
Oh, sure. So my name is Alicia Appleton, and I am the designer and owner of Amber Portier, which is a leather accessories company. And I have had the pleasure of working in the plus size industry for about 15 years and doing various things, including designing and merchandising.
Okay. So what is your degree or your background? Did you always want to be in fashion? It's because you're very creative, artistic. Did you, is this something you want to do since you was a little girl? Or how did you kind of fall into it, if you fell into it?
I actually did not know that I was creative as a child. Looking back, I realized that. And so I was supposed to be an accountant. And I took an art class in high school and actually ended up going to college and took a art and design classes, and then graduated with a degree in human ecology, which is a study of human beings and how they react, and art history and why they wear what they wear, and that with a concentration in fashion design.
Wow, that's interesting. I didn't, some of these things degrees you don't even know existed, or the origin of them. That's interesting. So that definitely lends itself to you understanding the consumer, right?
Absolutely.
Which kind of helps. Let's talk a bit about, so after college, like, how did you get into fashion, and kind of what things have you done prior to starting your own company?
Sure. So when I was in college, I actually was the person who would go to my advisor and say, listen, I want an internship, and not just at some kind of Joe Schmo place. So I actually did an internship at Kenneth Cole and Dana Buckman. Dana Buckman isn't around anymore, but those were the areas.
I remember.
Wet, yeah, and she had a great plus size line, and I was really inspired by that, and a whole dynasty, if you will. And so then my first job out of college was actually as a technical designer in a knit world, and I was working on plus size stuff there at a place called Golden Touch. And I've since then have done some designing for, well, I won't go into the company's names, but I've done designing for Plus World for 3 years, and then I went on to be a merchandiser, and I fell into that. Actually, I did not expect that I was going to be in that area because I was a designer, and I fell into merchandising, which was totally God sent. And so I got to learn how the decisions were made, and who was behind the scenes, and what the process is. And I learned the process and started to build assortment planning skills to create our different lines, and then at the end managed up to $20 million in my assortment.
Wow. So can we talk a little bit about, because I think the key piece is that you were in the background or the office where the decisions are made. And I don't think consumers, especially the plus size woman, really understand what that process is like. So can you talk a little bit about, especially as it relates to plus size women, because the biggest problem that I have, and I think many women have, you tell us that you carry our size, but in your catalogs or your advertisements, you clearly have a woman in there who's a smaller size, if a 10 on a good day, and you may pad her up, or you can clearly tell that the clothing doesn't fit her. What is the mindset of what happens in the back office? Do they have women that look like us, meaning curvy women who can maybe talk to them and tell them, like, no, that's not going to work. Yes, it's going to work.
Well, I think, there are a plethora of companies who are definitely changing their motto and changing their company structure, which is so great. But you do have some companies that are still stuck in their structure, in which the thought process is that oftentimes women who are in the plus category are women who have become plus, right? So they were in a straight size before and now have become plus. And she's not excited about the way that she looks or has some type of shame of some sort. And so therefore they'll put in a size 10 or 12 so that she can look at what she used to be, or I guess what is a palatable plus girl has been the philosophy that's been explained to me. And, there's this whole idea of the fashion world that someone who's in a plus category for some reason is trying to, it's not somewhere where she wants to be. It's somewhere that she has landed for some reason and is trying to make the best of it. And it's not something that someone glorifies, right? It's just something that has happened. And because of that, the clothing reflects that. This place of gloom, or this place of
moo-moos.
Yeah. Yeah. And not a place of celebration, right? Not a place of excitement. And you see it in shows of people who are in shows and they're plus size, like Mike and Molly. I actually started watching that show because of the comments that were being made about Molly, and I thought, how mean are people?
Right.
And I totally understood the comments. I could relate to how she could possibly feel in that. She finally gets a TV break, Melissa McCarthy, and then everyone is tearing it apart saying, how dare you look like that? But we don't do that for someone who is anorexic, right?
That's true. That's
Kate Moss, size 2, 0, whatever.
Right.
And talking about health and things like that. So that is concerning to me, continuously concerning to me, especially about the images that we present to our girls and women. So, and especially because we're the nurturer, right? We're the soil. So
right.
All of that to say that the industry in beauty, whatever that is, whether it be TV, fashion, what have you, has this idea that the plus world is not something to aspire to, but a place where someone just lands and makes the best of it.
Huh. Huh. Okay, interesting. Were you surprised by that mindset when you went to work there and kind of were you really surprised? So it was, I guess, eye-opening for you.
Oh, absolutely. Because oftentimes I was the only plus size person on the staff, right? And so it was very surprising to me because here are people telling me about what a plus size girl thinks and wants. And I don't want to, I was new at the time to the industry, so I don't want to discount what they're bringing because they're coming with history, right? They've been doing this for years. However, my thought was the psychology of this is very concerning. Very concerning.
Did they ever ask you what you thought?
Yes, certainly. And so some of that was implemented and some of it wasn't. I have a huge, anyone who's worked with me knows, I have a huge pet peeve about dresses without sleeves. Some women have great arms and that's fine, but I could probably tell you that 80% of plus size women do not have great arms or do not want to show them all the time.
Right.
And so could you please put some sleeves on the dress?
Right. Yeah, because a lot of women are not comfortable. Even if they have nice on, they're just not comfortable with it.
They're just not. And so the idea was that, hey, we want to upsell and sell another item. And I said, listen, any plus size woman's safety net is a jacket. She will always put a jacket on. You don't have to worry about trying to sell that.
Right.
Just put the sleeve on the dress. Thank you.
So tell me something. Did and I'm just curious, did their revenue or sales reflect in that particular style? If you know that, did it reflect what you were saying about?
It did. Okay, so for me, I got from the assortment that I got handed or took over. Was an assortment that was, in a sense, looking for a fresh start. I'll say that. And so when I started to implement some of the thought process that I had, and I had to, explain it to my supervisor, so on and so forth, it went from being let's say, like 2% profit area to growing even during the economic downturn that was happening in 2008 and 9 to I think we grew over to about like 25%.
Wow.
The time that it was over. So just really using my degree and seeing, okay, from art history, understanding what was happening in the times, why did people wear what they wore at the times, what purpose did it serve, and now in this time, what does she need? Where's her mind and her psyche, and what is it that we need to provide for her? And it's okay to be sexy. It's okay to offer her sexy. There's a difference between trashy and sexy.
Let's talk about that.
So I thank Forever 21 and all of those stores that offer an option for the tween and the 20-something-year-old, and that's great because there was a time when we did not have that. But I still think that there's a huge void for a grown woman who still wants to be sexy, because there's this idea that now that she's grown and plus, that she's not going out on a date. She's not, she doesn't have a need to be sexy. And I say that because, when you're cutting a skirt and the skirt is, 2 inches below her crotch, that's a problem for a grown woman. That's fine for a Faith 21, but for a grown woman
of any size.
Of any size, we need a little bit more length. Okay.
Yeah.
And then materials. I am a fanatic about fabrics, and that is important. A t-shirt dress is not appropriate for a grown woman as a sheath dress, because you can see through this in the summertime. People have different objectives on when they're putting on their clothes, but grown women generally want to go to work and be presentable. And so you can't choose these cheaper fabrics that you could in other areas, whether it be for age or price points or those things. And so I still think that there's a void where there are people who are providing quality fabrics, but they're missing the sexy, and people who are providing too sexy and are missing the quality. So that void right in there is what is missing, I think.
Do you, how do you see the difference? You said that was 2008, 2009. And how about today? Now that we're talking about a 10-year span, but now that you have the influx of really social media, especially Instagram, and our younger girls, they don't shy away from the arms out. So it does differ on the age. Mm-hmm. How do you think the mindset has changed from within the last 10 years? And do you think social media plays a big part of that?
I definitely think that social media has played a big part in that, but I'm going to say a thank you to Beyonce for making curves appealing in a mass market way.
Right.
And to the Nicki Minaj's and all of these women, because they really have broken this idea of what that's supposed to look like. And the beautiful thing about social media and all these different avenues where someone can display their art and voice their opinion is that we no longer have one avenue that someone needs to take. And I think that companies are now trying to master all of these different avenues to get all these different customers, which is great because we live in a capitalist world, so we need to have options, right, in order to make it work, right? Supply and demand. And so that's the beautiful thing about that. And it causes companies to then react to it. Now, there are many companies, as we've seen over the years, that they will add in a plus size line and then they'll take it away, or they'll do an online only when they have a brick and mortar store. And that's really about the investment. And that's when I look at companies to say, hey, are you in this for the investment or are you in this for a trend? Because if you're in it for an investment, then hold it in your stores. And if you can't hold it in all of your stores, then at least one or two stores within that state or city so that someone can come and try it on, because the person who needs to try on the clothes the most is a woman who's curvy.
Let the crowd say amen.
Not the woman who, generally fits the measurements that are there. I'm not saying that she doesn't need to try it on. I'm saying the one who needs to fit it on the most is a woman who has curves and have that experience. And so my dream, at one point I wanted to start my own clothing line, but my dream is to walk into any store and be able to know that I'm going to get quality, that I'm going to get a great option of fits, because there are different shapes of curvy women, and have a great in-store experience without a place of shame, and that the salesperson doesn't have to be a plus size woman, but she needs to understand her customer and the store in which she's selling. In a place where people are respecting curvy women and plus women, and not just my dollar, but me as a person, as a customer, because you do it for everyone else. And so I'm demanding that you do it for me as well.
And that's what we have to demand that respect. So let's talk a little bit about your accessory line. Accessories we know can make or break an outfit. And a lot of times with plus size women, that's one area that seems to be not being fulfilled or lacking, especially, other than, you're going to get the quote unquote costume jewelry. And if it's a different piece, they love it. So let's talk about your company, Amber Potier. And I understand this is an interesting behind you piece. What I find interesting, and tell them a little bit about what the line is, what kind of materials you use, and then we'll talk a little bit about that piece behind you.
Sure. So I, in my accessories line, because as you said, every curvy woman, she has to be born a stylist, okay, as a curvy woman, and accessories do make or break an outfit. And so I actually started using leather and woods and natural things, because that's just who I am. I'm an earthy kind of person. And at the end of the day, those things never go out of style. They hardly ever break down. They become tried and true. And so I am a huge person about quality. And so I said, well, why not go for nature's best, right?
Right.
So I do leather necklaces. So as you can see, I have on our Bianca necklace right now.
Which is your very popular Bianca necklace. I saw it on a picture on Monique Robinson from Project Runway, one of the models.
Yes.
Oh my God. I was like, I know that piece. It was gorgeous. And she looked gorgeous in it. So congratulations. It was beautiful.
Thank you. And I made it because I'm a full-chested woman. And so I can't do the dainty jewelry, although it's pretty. I make some stud earrings, some small pieces, but I just don't do dainty. Generally,
for pieces, what I like about it, they're bold, they're confident, they're statement pieces. and for the plus size woman, we need that, that bold, that statement piece. So behind you, you know, when you first look at it, like, oh, that's cute.
Whip it. So this is a part of hey, whatever someone does behind closed doors is their business. Okay, but what we are offering this year are a line of harnesses. We were very inspired by Black Panther and the women's movement and the Me Too movement and all of these just really empowering movements that are happening. And so just being able to provide something that allows a woman to be confident and bold and pretty and feminine, because I think that often bold somehow negates femininity, and that's not the case. You can have both of them in one package. And so we have a line of harnesses that will be showing sometime this year. And they end up in Maryland at some point. So if you're not on the newsletter, I suggest you guys go on amberportier.com.
Yes, and we have all your information here, so there's no excuse. I love that, because let me tell you, if a woman walks in with that piece, whether it's like on using the tank or just different ways you can wear it like over a dress,
right,
form fitting, it will stop people in their tracks.
Yes.
And they probably be like, oh, no, she didn't. No, but yeah.
And then she can just smile, and the smile just says, and yes, she did.
Yeah, she doesn't even have to say a word.
That's all. Because I think we don't have options, right? We don't have options to be pretty and sexy, right? And so there are some that offer that. And they're very far and few between, in a nook and cranny kind of place. And so I think it's necessary for us to be able to express our personality in our accessories.
I love it. I just love it. And I can only imagine that coming down a runway.
Yes.
And people be like, what? on a plus size woman.
Yes, on a plus size woman, because I too want to join in the many women who have done it before in breaking the mold of what a beautiful woman is supposed to be. You know, what is that idea? And a beautiful woman can be a size 14, 18, a 22, a 28, a 30, however she does what she does.
Right.
And so I just want to provide options for women to do what they do.
And that's an option. I love it. Can you show us, I know you also have started bag lines, can you show us a couple of the bags?
Absolutely. So again, a set of fun things are coming this year. So we were very inspired by leather and wood, which we talked about. So we have a handbag that's here.
Gorgeous.
With a strap for your hand. And then we have this beautiful wood cutout feature.
Wow.
With that logo that's happening here.
That's gorgeous.
Thank you. And this will be available in stores near you very soon.
And that looks like that's a pretty big size bag, long.
It's a nice size bag. I mean, you can certainly fit your phone, your wallet, your keys.
Yeah.
You know, all of your, you know, a little makeup bag can fit in here, and you don't have to feel like it's, you know, toppling over. It's full, right. And you still have space in there. And then I like the wood that allows you to feel like it's of substance. You know, a lot of my pieces are good to feel of substance. So that's one piece. And then we have another big tote bag that we're doing, and it's a sister to this.
Now that, I saw that, but that is gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. And that's a big bag.
It's a big bag. For women who are doing a lot of things like myself. Yeah. There are many things that you need to carry with you. And then you have 2 and 3 bags, and you know, now you're singing Erykah Badu song in your background. And you just have one large, big bag that has everything in it. and be stylish. I don't think that we need to sacrifice style
Right.
for function.
Right.
I think they can live together.
Absolutely gorgeous. So for 2018, I know you're showing us some places. What do you have coming up that you can share with us? And also, we want to make sure we'll have all Alicia's information at the bottom page, website, and everything. And I urge you to go on there and sign up for her email list. But what kind of things do you have coming for this year?
Okay, so we definitely have a photo shoot that's coming up next week, and that's going to be happening. So we'll have some new images, new style. Awesome. We do have the bag line that's starting. So if anyone is interested as far as wholesale is concerned, you can certainly email me as well. That'll be happening very shortly.
Okay.
We have a Black Panther inspired collection happening.
Ooh.
Stay tuned.
I cannot wait to see that.
And so we will officially, I will be hitting the road, I should say tentatively, I'll be hitting the road in June for the Capital Jazz Festival.
Okay.
Happening June 2nd and 3rd, so stay tuned for that.
Okay.
I believe that I will be back. There's a lot of Maryland appearances.
Well, I love it when you come to my town.
I love the DMV. I do love New York, but I do love the DMV.
Yeah.
And so we'll be coming back June 30th tentatively for another art event.
Okay.
And that's all I can disclose right now. So everything
they need to sign up for the list. I definitely cannot wait to see the line, the Black Panther Inspired line. I know that's going to be hot.
And we have a guest artist who is a great cartoonist, and he does action figures, and so there'll be a little collaboration happening there. So very exciting things going on.
I'm so excited for you. I am so excited. Well, I wanted to thank you because I always love speaking with you, learning so much about, and even learning more about you, about your background. We've talked and everything, but I wanted to share. I think it was very important to share kind of like what goes on behind closed doors regarding the plus size industry, so that we know what we're dealing with, and we kind of understand, okay, that's why what's happening. But I think we can change that by demanding that respect. And I appreciate you being so candid and sharing that with us.
It was my pleasure. And I say all the time that we get to vote. We don't have to wait until November to vote. We get to vote every day with our dollar.
That's true.
We get to vote every day with our social media posts and responses to things, and demanding that we have offerings in stores and that we can try it on, and that we aren't a secret, right? We're not your secret money pile,
right?
But that we exist and proudly exist.
I agree.
That's necessary to make
so
that
much.
vote. Well,
I just love you to death. And everybody remember, the Plus Size Virtual Summit is going from March 1st to March 4th. You can see it right here. And you can find all information for Alicia website or her social media, so you can follow her, because she's always coming up with something new. Definitely. I've watched your posts on Instagram. I'm like, oh, I like that. Always coming with something new. And she has some beautiful leather, like bracelet, like cuffs that are colored. So it's just not black and brown. She has leather and color, which I think is important for us beautiful.
I had to show love to my island side,
yes, exactly. Exactly. Her Jamaican roots, right? Thank you once again for taking the time out to speak with us, and look for her coming to a store, boutique, upscale near you. Yeah. Thanks, Alicia.
Thank you for having me.